modules on the finance module of Dynamics 365 Business Central. So it will be cash management, cash flow management, as well as the fixed asset. So these are the last three components of the Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central Finance module. So, and then in our next sessions, we will be covering the other modules like other than finance, the sales, the jobs and inventory modules. So those modules will be covered in our upcoming webinar. So we'll keep you posted on when it is scheduled. So today our presenter is Tavish Tisum Pereira. So you all know him already. So he's one of our senior functional consultants. So he can take you through the session. And if you have any questions while we're going through the session, just raise your hand or you can just drop us a message. Then our moderator will take those questions at the end of the session. So Kisum, you can take over the session and start now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dakshila. Let me share my screen first. Okay. So, can you all see my screen?
Yes, Kisum.
Okay, fine. So, as discussed, so we are going to cover today the cash flow management, the fixed assets, in the sense the acquisitions, the depreciations, the disposal, all those things will be covered, as well as cash management. Right. So today, first of all, I will first show you from this system about how the cash flow works in our system, right? Because I need to show you how this cash flow chart has been prepared and how this cash flow chart can be customized as per your requirement. Okay, so first we are having something called the cash flow, where you can search and go, and then here you can have many number of accounts as per your requirement. For an example, if we take receivables, there are 11 million of amount of receivables are there. Okay, so how is this made? So this is made with, if I edit this, we can create new also. So if I edit this one, it is made out of these things. The receivables, the account type would be the entry, and then the source type is receivables. There are many number of source types: payables, liquid funds, cash flow, manual expense, cash flow, manual revenue, sales orders, your current sales orders, your current purchase orders, all your budgets, the disposals, the service orders, GL budgets, all those things can be included in the cash flow. Right, so our source type is receivables for receivables. So that is how this value has come. Okay, so if we as we explained in our previous sessions, Navision have this drill down facility where you can drill down to the document level in any part of Navision. So when you have an entry, you can navigate and you can check all the double entries, how these are work and how these are this has come. So when I drill down this one, here we will get all the posted sales invoices, where we can get a clear understanding about these, how these receivables are made. So receivables are made out of these all posted sales invoices, right? So here we can set according to the dimension wise. Here we can filter according to the dimension wise, and all those things can be happen, right? So here it is still loading. This will give, we can actually give a date range in the document level. Also we can give a date range when we are within the cash flow statement. Also we can give a date range, right? So here it is as posted sales invoices. Here comes all the credit memos, all the things. Out of all the things, the total value would be generated in the cash flow, but this will give the all breakup how this 11 million has occurred. Okay, so likewise here we can have our private investments, all those things can be had. Okay, the private investments are our cash flow manual revenue. How is our cash flow manual revenue can be ended? Here we have something called the cash flow manual revenue. Using this, here we can create new. Suppose in each and every month, in your current, in your future months, if you are having some manual revenues, that some fixed revenues which will be coming to your company. Here you can have those things. Starting date, suppose your rentals, your financial assets, your private investments, like that you can have, right? So the amount and the date in, from which date would be these rentals will be started, and from which date would be those things will be ended, as well as your financial assets, private investments. And we have the cash flow manual expenses also. Here also you can have, if you are having some fixed manual expenses where you can forecast these things. Here we have this ability of lease expenses, personal costs, running costs, finance costs. Here we can enter all those things, your starting date and the ending date and the relevant amount. Likewise, you can configure all these things in your cash flow, right? So likewise, here we can get all these manual expenses, the manual revenue, all those things can be customized here, right? And here we are having the cash flow forecast, where you can get, if I did this one, we can make multiple cash flow forecast according to our requirement. And then here we will get, if I show this one much more clearly to you by dragging this one here. Here we will get all the things as a summary in our fact box. This is our fact box. Here we can get all the things as a summary. Our liquid funds, our receivables, our sales orders, how much of service orders. These are already pending memorandum documents which has been generated, and these receivables are already posted documents that has been hit to the GA, right? The cash flow manual expenses, all the things would be here. So here also we are having this drill down facility where we can drill down to the document level. So by generating these things, so according to the customer requirement, customer can edit this as per your requirement. So as I showed you, there can be many cash flow forecasts which has been made, and then there can be many cash flow expenses, cash flow revenue. Out of these, all these information which you are going to input, and out of the information which will be getting from the system, our cash flow forecast can be generated. So we can register all these expenses and incomes, and our how is our cash flow is made according to date, according to the month. Here we can have it. So once a user, once a accounting manager logs into the system, he or she can get the cash flow forecast using a chart diagram. This is a system standard chart diagram where it will be appeared, right? So the user can customize as per his or her requirements. So this is a system standard chart which will be getting, right? Here we are getting the relevant receivables. Here the different colors represent different things. Okay, so once you go and go to the cursor near a color, they will give an brief description about what that color represents. So for the month of September, right, here we are getting the months and here we are getting the values. So for the month of September, the receivables are 309,000, right? And our payables, right, and our tax, relevant taxes. And here comes our manual expenses starting from October, for November, December. These are our manual expenses, and these are our manual revenues which we are getting, right? These are manual revenues. So likewise, here you can get some information according to the things you have been feeding to the cash flow accounts, like for chart of accounts, as for manual and revenue expenses which you have fed, right? Okay, so this is the whole thing about the cash flow. So now we will move to the fixed assets. Fixed assets I will show you using this web application which we are having. We are having the cash flow statement also. So if since you need to get a clear understanding about the whole chart and graph, I showed you from that application. So what happens is, this is our web application. So first we will start from our acquisition cost. So fixed assets is all about acquisition, depreciation, and disposal. So I will first go through a scenario, right, which will be interconnected the whole fixed asset to the cash management also. Okay, so first I will show we have a module called fixed assets, right? So as I showed earlier in our previous sessions, we have some shortcuts. We can have some shortcut buttons as fixed assets, as well as we have this search bar where we can quickly search the fixed assets, right? Okay, right. So here we are getting our fixed asset list. So these are the, in our software company, we are having this kind of fixed assets, right? In your company, there might be more like you can have multiple fixed assets. Any number of fixed assets which your company having, you can have it in this fixed asset list, right? And here I will create a new fixed asset, right? To create a new fixed asset, I can go and click the new button, right? Once we click the new button, here we are getting the fixed asset card. In the last win, we got the fixed asset list, and here we are getting the fixed asset card where you can enter more detailed information about the fixed asset which you are going to purchase. So before the acquisition part arrives, you have to do what you have to do is you have to create a fixed asset card. It is just like creating an item. Before you have to purchase the item, you have to create that item. Likewise, the same scenario, the same attachment here is also we are having. Before you're going to purchase a fixed asset, you should come here and create a fixed asset. So suppose we are going to purchase a car, right? I will have it like Swift car. Okay. Here we are having some class codes. Class code in the sense we are having suppose this fixer is a tangible fixer. Is this fixer is intangible? Intangible are for software like things, right? Tangible are for which we can touch and feel. Okay, so here we can select the tangible, and then here we are getting the FA subclasses code where suppose this is like this. Now we are going to buy a car. So we are creating a subclass code as car. Normally, in the start of the implementation, a partner would create you these for you. Okay, based on the fixed asset groups which you are having. If you are having cars, if you are having machineries, if you are having telephone, based on groups, we can create many number of subclasses as per your requirement, and then here we can select where we can enter your FA posting groups. I will tell you what is the FA posting group. Okay, then here we can select the car because we are purchasing a car. Okay, and you can have a FA location code also. If you're having FA location code, that can be have, right? So this is not a mandatory field. Likewise, and then here we are getting the posting group. As I showed you earlier, when we are selecting subclass code, we have embedded our posting group to load the default posting group as car. Here we can change the posting group also. So what is this posting group? Posting group is, the posting group is the intermediate window which will connect our fixed asset and the GL account. So it is the intermediate thing which will connect our fixed assets and the GL, because the fixed asset is a sub ledger, and we are having the GL separate, and using this FA posting group, these two would be interconnected. So what happens is, if a car, right, I have my chart of account separately, right? If a car is purchased, the acquisition cost to which GL account should it be gone? We can define here. This is the GL account number. What is the accumulated depreciation account, right? What is the gain or disposal account, right? What is the maintenance expense account? If you're having a depreciation expense account, what is the depreciation expense account? We can give the GL account number to this. So when we are posting, when we do the postings, when we do the purchasing, when we do the postings, these things will be automatically generated, automatically loaded to our GL account, to specific GL accounts. Okay, so this is our fixed card. We have completed up to now, because we still have not purchased. Because of that only the book value is also not updated here, and the depreciation starting date and the depreciation ending date can be entered after the purchase happens, right? So what I will do is I will do a purchase. Okay, so how to do a purchase? We have to go to the purchase order. Okay, purchase orders also, as I showed you earlier, we can do the search button, or else we can go from our shortcut icons which we are having in our role center. So I can select a new purchase order. I will put a new purchase order. right? We have many options. We can select the purchase order list and we can go to a new purchase order, and then we can select a vendor number, right? So suppose I will select a vendor number here, right? 300. I have a vendor, right? For an example, suppose we are getting the car from Technomedics, right? Suppose we are getting the car from Technomedics. Okay, so once you have it, all the addresses and all the fields which will be loaded automatically, and then the document and then the posting date would be loaded. The due date you can change this one, and you can enter the vendor invoice number. If you are having a vendor invoice number, here you can enter your vendor's invoice number likewise, right? And then here the type. So what happened here is, if I explain you again, so the when we have explained you earlier also, so bit of a memory to you all. The general tab is the header part, right? The general tab is the header part, and this is our line part. So in the header part, we will be entering all the vendor details, and in the line part, we will be entering all your item details. In this case, item means fixed assets, right? So what happened here is, you have to in our early sessions, we every time selected this item, but in here this session we are going to purchase a fixed asset. So what happens is, we have to select the fixed asset. Okay, and when you select the fixed assets, in the number column, all the fixed assets which has been created will be loaded. So we have to select the relevant fixed asset which we created now, right? We will select this fixed asset which we created now. Okay, so once we select this one, here we can enter the relevant quantity. So for one fixed asset, we will keep only one quantity. Okay, and then here we can enter the relevant cost that has been incurred. So I will just enter amount as 1 lakh. Okay, right. So what happened here is, here we are getting the relevant. We actually purchasing one quantity. According to the unit cost would be 100,000. Okay. So what happened here is, I will do a preview posting. Preview posting is now, this is a memorandum document, right? This is a memorandum document. Creating a purchase order will not affect any GL account because it's a memorandum document. So once you hit the post button here, only it will affect all the GL accounts. So what happens? So if you need to check after posting what are the GLs would be affected after this happens, you can do a preview posting. Okay. So once you do the preview posting, they will show you after the posting, according to which we set up the posting groups, how the accounts would be affected, right? So once you've done the preview posting, you will get a complete understanding about what are the GL accounts which has been given, what are the fixed asset ledger entry accounts, what are the vendor ledger entries, what are the VAT entries. All those things would be there, same as when you're posting, when the posting is happening. So there are two GL accounts which has been affected. That is completely to our vendors. Vendors has been credited, and then our GL account increases during year. That means our vehicles has been debited. Okay. So this is how the GL happens. The GL entries happen. So here we can do the posting, right? Once we select the posting, we are getting three options as receive, invoice, receive and invoice, right? So we have explained earlier also, receive in the sense, receiving means the GRN part, invoicing means the invoicing part. After we have done the GRN, we can invoice these things, and then if you want to do the receive and invoice at the same time, we can select the receive and invoice at the same time. So here I will select the receive and invoice. Okay, so once we selected the receive and invoice, what happened here is, the GL would be, the relevant entries would be thrown to the relevant GL accounts where I showed you in the preview posting, right? So after the posting happens, the purchase order would be deleted, and then sorry, posted purchase invoice would be generated. So they are asking us to give the posted purchase invoice. So once the purchase order has been deleted, if you need to check the relevant posted purchase invoice, you can go to the posted purchase invoice and check the how the entries has been driven. Okay, so now I will go to the fixed asset card again. I will go from here. Okay, fixed assets. Right. Okay, so this is the fixed assets list. I have showed you earlier also. So now I will go to our Swift card. Okay, now here you can see the book value is updated now. According to the relevant purchase amount which we have purchased, the relevant book value has been updated. Okay, so it is as 1 lakh. Okay, see, acquisition cost is as 1 lakh. Okay, here you have this drill down facility where you can build down all those things. Okay, and then here now we can enter the depreciation starting date. So suppose for this scenario, I will enter the depreciation starting date as September 1st, right? And then here you can give how much of years should it be depreciated. Okay, then for this I will give it as 3 years. Okay, so once you give the 3 years, the depreciation ending date would be automatically loaded, right? So once you do this, definitely you should do this because now the acquisition part has been covered from this thing, right? Now, before doing the depreciation part, we definitely need to enter the depreciation starting date and the depreciation years. Since this is going from the depreciation method from straight line method, okay, we have options. We have other options also. So I will choose a depreciation method as a straight line method. So because of we are given this depreciation method as a straight line method, this would be automatically calculated. We need not to give the relevant depreciation actually percentage amount to this. So it would be calculated according to the years and the book value they would calculate. Okay, so this is the whole part of the acquisition part, right? Now I will go to the depreciation. Now another scenario is how to depreciate, right? Suppose I have entered the depreciation starting date as 9/1. So from 9/1 from September 1st itself, the depreciation would be started. So we will first depreciate this relevant fixed asset to a 1 month. Okay. So how to do the depreciation? Okay. Now here we are having something called the calculate depreciation, right? It is a process which can be run. Okay. This process can be run to all the fixed assets or to some selected fixed assets or to one fixed asset. Either way you can do it. Okay, there are no limitations. So either way you can do anything, right? So the FA posting date I will have it as 9/30. That means the depreciation running date. Okay, and then here we can have a post in description. Suppose I will have it as depreciation for the month of September, right? Okay, so we can enter a document number also, right? And here, as I said you, we can run the depreciation to all our fixed assets or to one fixed assets or to a selected posting group fixed asset. Okay, we can filter anyway. How we want, we can filter anyway, right? Here we can select the relevant fixed asset. So to you to get more clear understanding, I will only run to one fixed asset, right? That means the fixed asset which we created. Okay, so I will select the relevant fixed asset and then I will hit OK here. So what happened here is no GL account would be affected by running this process. Only thing it would be doing is the relevant entries would be passed to a FAGL journal entry. FAGL journal, the relevant entries would be passed, and from there we can post this. Right. So we know we need not to manually enter all the entries. The Navision will automatically process this one, and then they will produce all the entries which is going for the depreciation. So we can open the fixed GL journal. One fixed GL journal has been affected. Now see the relevant as per the relevant asset which we selected. Okay, this is our asset, our car. Okay, the whole depreciation entries has been loaded to our car only. Okay, so we can see here the relevant amount has been loaded, right? 2,778. The relevant fixed asset, that means the relevant fixed asset is debited, credited, and then the accumulated depreciation account has been So the depreciation expenses account has been debited, right? So what happened here is, here also we are having the preview posting option. So what I will do is I will post this, right? So after this posting happens only, the GL entries would be hit to our relevant GL accounts, unless otherwise running the depreciation process doesn't affect any GL entries, right? So again, I will go to our Swift car fixed asset card, and here you will see the book value has been reduced to 97,222, right? Now here, when we drill down this, when we click on this 97,222, here we get the acquisition cost and the depreciation. Without depreciation, relevant description which we have entered in our process. When we were running the process, we entered the depreciation for the month of September. Using that description, we are getting the relevant amount which has been depreciated, right? And the book value, you are getting the whole amount. And then after drilling down, you can facilitate all your informations, how it has been built down, right? Okay, so this is the depreciation part. So the depreciation part can be run to one fixed asset, or else a selected group of fixed assets you can run the depreciation. Okay, and then now the acquisition part is covered, the depreciation part is covered. Now suppose we want to dispose this item. Okay, to dispose this item, I will explain you the disposal from two scenarios. One scenario is disposing the item to the zero value. Okay, and the other scenario is disposing the items using the sales order. Suppose you are selling this car. So I will explain you both the scenarios how it is done. So first of all, before you are doing a disposal, make sure that you need to depreciate the whole fixed asset to the relevant date. Up to date depreciation should be there. Up to date calculation of depreciation should be there. Then only the disposal should be done. So what I will do is, I will go to the first scenario, how to depreciate to the zero value, right? Here we are getting the fixed asset GL journal. Okay, in the fixed asset list, when we select the process bar, we are having this fixed asset GL journal. Okay, once we select the fixed asset GL journal, here we can enter the posting date as 9/30. Okay, I will enter it as 9/30, and then here we can select the account type as fixed assets. Okay, and the account number. Suppose my car. Okay, right. And then the FA posting type, we can select, is it acquisition? Now, make sure that if you need to, you need not to acquire, you need not to purchase items from the purchase order. Using a fixed GL journal also, you can acquire the relevant items. Here you have the acquisition cost, depreciations, appreciations, all those things can be done. So what I will do is I will show you the disposal one. Okay, and then here we have to enter the disposal, and then keep the amount as 0. Okay, because we are depreciation into the zero amount. Okay, once this is entered, here I will show you the relevant entries. Okay, by preview posting this one, I will not post this one, I will just show you by doing a preview posting. So once we are doing the preview posting, if there's any errors, this will generate all the errors which we are getting when we are doing the posting. So it is a very pretty way to understand what are the errors which we will get if we do the posting. So this is a good way of understanding that. So there are three entries which has been driven. One is for the gains and losses accounts. Okay, as we set up in our posting groups, the gains and losses accounts. Here we are getting 97,222, and the decreases during the year is 1 lakh, and then the accumulated depreciation has been reduced to 200 and 2,778. So all these things has been happened according to the posting groups which we set up. These entries will be gone according to your company. If you want to have any other GL accounts to be affected, that also can be done. Okay, right. So this is one scenario where if we want to do the disposal to zero value, right? Suppose the other scenario is you need to sell this vehicle. Okay, so if you need to sell this vehicle, right, you need to do a sales order. Okay, you need to go to a sales order or sales invoice. By generating a sales order or sales invoice, you have to sell this relevant vehicle. Okay, so what I will do is I will go to our sales orders. So we can do the sales search bar. You can go to the search bar. Okay, we can go to the sales orders. Okay, so once we go to the sales order list would be generated for us, and then here we can select the new. Okay, once we select the new, here we will be getting the sales order card where you can press a tab bar and then you can get a sales order number which would be automatically generated according to the number sequence which we are set up in our first implementation stage. Okay, according to your requirement, we can set up the relevant number series, and then here we can select a customer. Suppose I will select the John Gills Holdings customer. Okay, so we are going to sell this vehicle to this relevant customer. Okay, once you select, the addresses will be automatically loaded as per the address which we are entering in the customer card, and then the relevant document date, the posting date, the order date, all these things would be automatically loaded, and I can even change these dates even, right? I can even change these dates. Likewise, if you have a salesperson code, I suppose for fixer there will be no salesperson, so just keep it blank. And then here we are getting the lines. This as I explained earlier also, the look and feel is same. It is very similar to the purchase order. Okay, the very common concept is there. You have the header bar, you have the lines bar. Header bar, you will enter the customer related information, and then in the line parts you will enter the relevant items or the fixers or the item charge you are having. You can enter it there, right? And then here also we can select the fixed assets, right? And then here we can select the relevant fixed asset which we need to sell. So I will select the Swift car. Okay, and then here I can select the quantity, so it's obviously it's one, right? And then here I can enter the relevant unit price which I'm going to sell this car. So suppose I'm going to sell with a profit. Okay, I bought it for 100,000 and I'm going to sell it for 120,000, suppose, right? Okay, then I will do a preview posting and show you. Right, once I do the preview posting, we can see if there's any error comes here before the posting. We can get all these errors, or else we can just see how the GL account will be affected after the posting happens. All these things can be generated. So here we will get a complete related entries part. There I will just show you what are the what sort of a GL entries would be affected out of these things, right? Here we are getting the gains and losses accounts in our income statements. We are getting a gain of 22,000, right? And decreases will be 100,000, and the accumulated depreciation would be contra entry for 2,778, and our customers would be debited 420,000 since the customer would be a receiver part, right? Okay, so this is how the relevant fixed asset module works in Navision. So this is how acquisition would be happen. That was how the depreciation would be happen, and disposal as per the scenarios you are having. These kind of things can be configured in your system. So I explained you the acquisition part, the depreciation part, and our disposal part. Right, now I will move to the cash management part. Right, I will show you the cash management part using these things. Right, now first of all, we purchase the relevant fixed asset from a vendor. Right, from the Technomatic vendor we purchase the relevant fixed asset, and then we sold the relevant fixed asset to the relevant customer as John Kills. Okay, so I will go to the vendor ledger entries. So if I need to see anything related to purchasing, in any entry related to purchasing, I can go to the vendor ledger entries. Okay, I can move to the vendor ledger entries. So once I go to the vendor ledger entries, I will get a whole list of invoices, payments I have made, any credit memos, any refunds which have been done. All these things will be loaded here. So here we have a good pretty Facebook filtering option, right? Here we can filter for any vendor. So I will filter it for vendor, Technomatics vendor, which we have purchased the relevant item. Here we get the invoice, right? For 930, here we are getting the invoice of 1 lakh. See, okay, and then there's a remaining amount for this one. Okay, so if there is a remaining amount, it is payable for us. So we should pay the relevant amount, right? So this is payable for us on 930th. This is payable for us. So what happens is we have to do a vendor payment and then we have to pay these things. Now I'm going to show you how to do a vendor payment, right? So if we are doing the payment, we have to do against this invoice, right? Now I'm going to show you how to do the relevant vendor payment. And once we done this payment, the relevant amount will be zero. So we will see how payment will be done, right? Now I can go to the payment journals. We have for doing the vendor payments, we can go to the payment journals. We have different set of Navision consists different set of journals. To do the vendor payments, we can go to the payment journals, and if we are getting the customer payments, we can go to the cash receipt journal. Likewise, we have general journals, we have sales journals, purchase journals, all these things we are having. So to do the vendor payments, I will go to the payment journal. Okay, right, fine. So once I go to this payment journal, I can select the payment journal and I will get a worksheet type of form where, okay, I can do the relevant entries. I can do the relevant entries and I can post this one. So we have in Navision, we have a good feature where, okay, you have this suggest vendor payments. You can suggest vendor payments, right? So for an example, if I select this suggest vendor payment, and then if I select the last payment date as 930 and the posting date as 930, and suppose I will run this one to the relevant Technomatics vendor. Okay, I will run to the relevant Technomatics vendor. So Navision itself will suggest the relevant uh, payments which should be done against that relevant vendor. Okay, so what I will do is I will just enter a document number here. We can enter a document number, right? And then I have selected the relevant vendor here, and then I can select the OK button. So I will get, if there is only one entry, I will get only one entry, vendor payment entries, or else I will get all the entries which will be included in the relevant vendor which I selected, or else we can even run this to all the vendors by selecting the relevant date. That also can be done. If we run all the things all the vendors, we will get all the things. So here are the set of vendor payments uh, which is actually which have a remaining amount which is payable from our end. Here we are getting all the vendor payments, all the Technomatics payments which is payable from our end. Okay, so we can select any of these things and we can do the posting, right? So I will not make it much that much complicated. What I will do is I will delete these things. Okay, we can how we can delete is here we have the option called select more. If we have getting lines like these things, here we can select more, and then here we can delete this one, right? So what I will do is I will show how to do the payment for that invoice only. Okay, so here we can enter the posting date, the entry to be posted, right? Which date the entry to be posted, and then the document type should be as payment, right? The concept is if we are paying something, if we are paying to a vendor, the document type should be payment, and if we are receiving a payment from the customer, the document type should be payment. So for all these two scenarios, the document type should be payment, right? And the document number, we can enter a relevant document number, right? A relevant document number, and we can enter a relevant external document number which would be basically if you are getting if you are doing the transaction using checks, so you can enter the check number in our external document number. Okay, and then here you can enter the relevant technomedics vendor, right? Once we enter the relevant technomedics vendor here we need not to enter the relevant amount. Okay, what we can do is we are getting something called apply entries. Once we select the apply entries, we will get a list of entries which is payable for that relevant vendor, for that relevant technomedics vendor, which is payable for us. That means still a remaining amount is payable for that vendor. 1 rupee also it will this will generate this much of amount is payable. So you can apply this relevant payment to that invoice. So what we can do here is we can select the relevant invoice, right? So the invoice will be this one. Okay, so this is the invoice, our purchase invoice. Here we can select the relevant invoice, and then here we have something called the set applies to ID. Once we select the set applies to ID, here the relevant payment which we are doing will be driven against this invoice. Okay, will be applied to this relevant invoice. Okay, so I will and we can select the relevant bank account from which bank account should it should be driven, right? We can select those things also, and then so 1 lakh of amount to the relevant bank account. Okay, so the vendor would be debited and the bank would be credited. Okay, so here also we are having this preview posting. Okay, we can do a preview posting and see how the entries will be driven, or else I will just go and hit the posting. Okay, so once I do the posting, the relevant payment would be done to that relevant vendor. So what happened here is we'll see, we'll again go to the vendor ledger entries. Okay, we will again go to the vendor ledger entries, right? And then here we have got a payment. Okay, so this is the invoice and this is the payment. Okay, now you can see the relevant remaining amount is 0, right? For the relevant invoice, I showed you earlier also the relevant invoice, there was a remaining amount of 1 lakh, right? Now it has come to 0. Okay, that is because the relevant invoice is applied to this payment. So in your company, there might be many transactions. So it would be very difficult for you to identify this invoice. What is the payment it has been applied? What is the credit memo which it has been applied? In same scenario for payments also. In this payment, if you select the payment, there's no remaining amount, but we need to check what is the invoice or a refund which is applied to this one, right? We can see that now suppose we have clicked the invoice bar, and then we have something called the applied entries. Using this applied entries, you can see what is the payment or what is the credit memo which is engaged to this relevant entry. Okay, so these things can be done, right? So this is the whole part about our vendor payment, right? So we can do the vendor payments like this. Okay, we can apply to a relevant invoice. Likewise, you can do these vendor payments. Now we will check how we can get a customer payment. Okay, how we can get a customer payment. So the scenario is we solve the relevant fixed asset to the our John Kills customer, right? So what happens here is I can here enter the customer ledger entries. Okay, vendor ledger entries, all the entries would be generated to vendor ledger entries, and all the customer ledger entries would be generated to something called the customer ledger entries. Okay, so here we will we have this filtering option. Okay, we have this filtering option. We can filter the relevant to the customer number. We can filter anything anywhere using the date or date wise or any thing you can generate, right? So here we have this invoice, the relevant invoice, right? There's a remaining amount of 100,000 because we didn't get the relevant payment from the customer yet. Okay, now we are going to see how the relevant payment should be get from our customer. So here also we are having this remaining amount as 1 lakh. So now I will show you how to get off this remaining amount, how to get the money from customer. So as I said you earlier, if we are doing the payment, if you are giving a, if you are doing a payment to a vendor, we have to use the payment journal, and if you are getting a payment from our customer, we can use the cash receipt journal, right? Okay, so it is pretty much same to the payment journal worksheet, nothing same. So as I explained you earlier also, the look and feel would be same in Navision in everywhere, right? So even in a training, it would be very easy for you to understand, a user to understand how this works. Okay, so the posting date you can enter, and the document type, as I explained you earlier, the document type should be payment. If we are giving a payment, if we are giving a payment to a vendor, the document type should be payment. Or else if we are getting a customer, if we are getting a payment from the customer, also the document type should be definitely payment. Okay, and then the account type is customer, and then here we can select the relevant customer. Okay, and then once you select the customer, you need not to enter the relevant amount. The relevant amount we can get it from our apply entry, same as the same scenario which we did it for the vendor also, right? So using the apply entries, I will get all the receivables from this relevant customer. So from this relevant customer, what are the invoice, what are the things which I need to get from this relevant customer? These things would be loaded. So these are the set of invoices, and these are the set of things which would be which should be received from this relevant customer. So this is our relevant invoice, right? One lakh of invoice. So here, if we need to apply, if we are not getting the complete amount, if we are getting only the partial amount from the customer, here in the amount to apply, we have a place to enter the relevant amount, actual amount which we are getting from the customer. So we can enter the relevant actual amount which we are getting from the customer, and then do the relevant posting. That is also possible, right? For this scenario, I will apply the whole amount, right? I can here apply, present apply, applies to ID, then I will press the OK button. Okay, and once I press the OK button, the amount would be automatically loaded, and then I can select the relevant bank which the payment to be done by the customer, right? And then what I will do is I will post this one. Okay, we have the preview posting also, or else we can directly post, or else we can do the preview posting and see what are the entries which will be affected out of these things. Sorry, and then here we can see the journal lines were successfully posted, right? Okay, now I can see how I will go to the customer ledger entries again, right? And when I go to the customer ledger entries, here I will again do a filter to you to get more understanding, to you to get clear understanding. I can do, I will filter it to the relevant customer. Okay, relevant John Kids customer. Here I am getting the invoice and the payment. Let me show you the relevant remaining amount now is 0, because the relevant invoice, if I go and see to the applied entries, right? Applied entries, I can see the relevant payment has been applied to that relevant invoice. So using these applied entries, I can see the relevant invoice. So suppose the scenario like this, the customer needs a refund from us, right? Suppose that customer, the relevant John case customer, need a refund from us, right? So due to something, he needs a total refund of that total low partial refund or anything. He is somehow or the other, he needs a refund from this one, right? So what happened here is, now as I showed you that this relevant invoice has been applied to this relevant payment. Okay, this relevant payment has been applied to this relevant invoice. Now the payment and the invoice has been combined. Okay, so the remaining amount is also 0 now. Okay, so before we get the refund from customer, first we have to break this relationship. We have to break this combination, right? How to break this one? Here we are having, I will again show you the applied entries for this relevant invoice. The relevant payment has been applied. Okay, so for the relevant payment, the relevant invoice has been applied, vice versa, right? And then here we are having something called unapplied entries. Okay, applied entries, and we have unapplied entries. So using this one, we can first unapply the relevant entry. Okay. So once we unapply the relevant entry, there will be no GL entries pass. Okay. This is just we are breaking the relationship of the payment and the invoice only, right? And then here we can unapply these entries. Once we unapply these entries, I will show you how what happens to this one. So once you unapply the entries, here we will get a remaining amount. See, here we are getting a remaining amount for this relevant for this particular payment, right? So this particular payment is there is a relevant remaining amount, right? Then we can do a refund. So to do the refund, we can go to the payment journal or the cash receipt journal. That is fine, anything, right? So I will just show you from the payment journal. Okay, then here we can do the posting date and the document type. Here should be refund. Okay, we have in a document type called refund. Here the document type should be not payment, it should be refund. And then here we can enter the document number. Okay, and if you are paying to the customer using a using a check, here we can enter the relevant check number. Right, the account type would be customer, and then we can enter the relevant customer name. Okay, and then as I explained you earlier, we have this apply entries. Using the apply entries, we can select the relevant due payment, select the relevant anything which is related to the customer, any remaining amount which is there for this relevant customer, we can select it. Okay, so here we will be having, there are many entries. Okay, and here we are getting this one, right? Here we are getting the relevant payment. Okay, for this payment only we need to have this relevant refund. Okay, so then okay, we can do partial refund even using this amount to apply. We can do partial refund also. Okay, so the relevant amount would be generated here, and then we can select the relevant bank which the payment should be done, and then we can do the posting, right? So once we do the posting, the relevant entries would be affected, and then the relevant our customer ledger entry, our payment, there would be a refund for that relevant entry. So I will again go to the customer ledger entry and show you. Okay, I will go to the customer ledger entry and I will again filter it by the relevant customer. Okay, you can do any type of filterings according to the date, according to due dates, anything you can do a filtration out of this. And here we are getting a refund. Okay, here this is the refund which we are getting. Okay, this is the refund which we are getting. There is a set of refund which has been happened to the relevant customer. Okay, so because according to this payment, so we have this applied documents. Okay, using this applied entries, here we can see what are the entries which has been applied to this relevant refund. Okay, so a payment has been applied to this relevant refund, and even if you go to the payment also, you can even see what are the relevant entries which has been applied to this relevant invoice. So like this, here you can see any number of things. You can even apply, you can even unapply this one also. So we have this ability of unapplying this and applying this. And so like I showed you the apply entries using how can do how you can do it using the cash slip journal and payment journals. Rather than applying it from there, you can post the relevant payment journal using the amount from that itself, and then here from here you can come and apply the relevant two entries. That is also can be done. So all these kind of facilities you will get from the Dynamics to do using your cash management. Okay, so right, so this is for today. So if you have any question, you can put it onto the table. Okay. if you have any question related to this module, you can just have a message on our chat box in our show conversations. You can have a just message and ask from me.
Our moderator can put the survey link also right now. So meantime, please take few minutes of your time and rate the today's session so that we can improve ourselves for our upcoming webinars. So if you have any questions, please, you can even drop us an email. Okay, Tisum, then thank you very much for your time. So we will conclude the session for today. We thank all of you for joining us today. So we hope your participation in our next upcoming webinars as well. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Arshila.